It's a shame the Eagles were pretty rusty, Rube.
Yeah, that 2 weeks off, it really took them, till the second play before I thought they really got into a rhythm.
Yeah, that first play, 2-yard gain, I was like, man, that's why, the bye week was a pretty bad thing.
Yeah.
And you really wanted to see those guys get into a rhythm last week. All that rest. Ugh. Gross.
Yeah, they really struggled early, but I thought by the second play, they had the 40-yarder to Devontae. I thought they kind of hit their stride.
Yeah. How about that, man? What a game.
What a game.
Unbelievable. 38-7, the Eagles win, going on to the NFC Championship game next week at 3 o'clock. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. Reuben, Frank, Dave, Zangaro. A lot to get to after that game. I mean, first off, that it's pretty cool that they saved their best performance for the playoffs.
Yeah, that was really striking to me as well. I mean, they've had some really complete games this year where they played well in all phases, but this is a different animal, playoff football. So I think this is probably the best they've played all year in all phases. So. This was dominating. And look, the Giants aren't a great team. We kind of tried to emphasize that. I think people got a false sense of where they were because of that Vikings game. And that was a good win for them, but the Vikings stink. And I know they won a bunch of games, but they didn't put up a fight. And the Giants played hard and they won the game. But this is a different animal. Now it's like that cartoon. There's a cartoon with this little kid coming home in a baseball uniform. He looks like he's about 8. And he looks real dejected. And his dad said, "How did the game go?" And the kid says, "Well, I had a no-hitter going until the big kids got out of school."
Yeah.
And that's what this reminded me of. The big kids got out of school, and they handed it to the Giants. Matched the most lopsided win in Eagles postseason history, 31 points.
Yeah, well, it's a score we remember. And it's 5 years to the day.
To the day.
It's pretty crazy. Torrey Smith in the building.
Yeah.
And I think of him when I think of that game. But yeah, I mean, a bunch of those guys were in the building today.
Yeah, it was cool seeing them.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, just an absolute monster of a game.
Destruction.
And it's funny because you see the 7, you go, oh man, they were close to a shutout. That Giants drive was a good thing.
It was the stupidest touchdown drive I've ever seen in my life.
6 minutes. That's almost as good as them not scoring. So this is to me, this was a shutout. It was just dominant in every way possible. Every question we had about this team entering the playoffs, every concern you had was answered.
Yeah, I actually devoted one of my observations to just how dumb that touchdown drive was. It's the middle of the third quarter. You're down 28 points, and you're going to run clock.
It was time to establish the run. Daboll at the end of that. Look, he had a great year.
Yeah, that was a concession.
It was a wave the white flag kind of second half.
That's exactly what it was.
I mean, we've seen the playoffs, the team come back from a huge deficit. You got to try to win the game.
Yeah.
You're already getting your butts kicked.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. I thought it was embarrassing for them. Your only chance to win it. But that's how reluctant they are to throw the ball. We're just not going to throw the ball, even if it means losing. They just have no passing game. And when you have Josh Sweat and Haason Reddick and BG and Fletch and Hargrave, and you're not going to want to throw the ball every snap. So they just ran it to protect their guys.
There was the one series where Daniel Jones stepped out of bounds to take a sack instead of throwing the ball away. And then they punted on 4th and 4. And you're like, well, I mean, you're just giving it up now.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with Daboll, but you know what? They're done. They're gone. They had a nice year. They won a playoff game, but this was no contest.
It felt like that. I felt like they were content getting they won a playoff game. They were happy with that. The Eagles have bigger aspirations.
Yeah, I thought they would put up more of a fight. I picked the Eagles by 10, maybe. I don't remember, but
I picked them by 11.
Yeah, I think we were all in the same kind of double digits. I thought the Giants would be in it for a while, but I really felt Eagles after the first drive, they go down and score, and then on the Giants' first possession, Reddick gets the 2 sacks. I think he split one with Sweat.
Yeah, they end up giving a half
ultimately, but they got the 2 back-to-back sacks, and I just it was only 7-0, but I just sensed that it was over. The Giants just weren't going to have any answers. And, before you know it, it's 28-0 at halftime. And the rest was just kind of wait until the clock hits 0. This was you don't see a lot of games like this in the playoffs.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy that it reminded me of that the NFC Championship game against the Vikings. But this was even more lopsided.
Yeah, because they were up 7, right?
Yeah, the Vikings got up 7 early
Before the
before the
Patrick
pick
Robinson
six.
pick 6. It reminded me of the 95 playoff wild card win over the Lions. The 58-37.
That was the only halftime lead that was bigger in Eagles
playoff. It was a 38-0? 38-7.
38-7, I think.
Yeah, and they were up 51-7 at one point. And then, Ray Bob put in all the backups, and they scored a bunch of points, the Lions, at the end of that game. I think it was 58-37. But it reminded me of that just in how lopsided it was and what a mismatch it was. And there was just no sense that the Giants could even compete on this playing field. The moment was just too big for them.
Yeah. It was a party on the sideline. That was my lasting memory of the NFC Championship game 5 years ago. It was like, people are dancing. Like, by the end of this game, fans, and this is like different because this is the divisional round. There's no like trophy, and there's no like the stadium's empty by the time the game's over because that's how lopsided it was.
Yeah,
just domination.
Yeah,
and look, for the same reason that I didn't think the momentum was going to carry over from the Giants win to this one, I still feel that like about the Eagles. Like this, I don't know if there's momentum, but they're going to feel confident going forward, and that matters.
Yeah, and I think one thing this showed us is that, and we kind of suspected this, but that last Giants game, they weren't. I mean, they were trying, but they were just trying to win with the least
bare minimum
possible effort, energy expended, and a 6-page playbook. So they knew they might face the Giants again, and when they did, it was a completely different animal. They did whatever they wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Love the speed toss on the fake or the sneak look.
Yeah.
Speed toss. That's been my favorite thing all year is watching them have wrinkles off the QB sneak.
Off the sneak. Yeah. I thought it was a fabulous day for the coordinators and for the head coach. We talked about the head coach, but Gannon was brilliant. They got pressure from the front right from the start. And I thought really the key to this game was stopping the run. And, the Giants' final numbers, I guess, looked respectable because Barkley had his one. Every game he has like one long run.
Yeah, I saw some Eagle Eye listeners saying there was a run you guys talked about.
We said he'd have one 50-yard run, but he wouldn't hurt. And that's exactly what it was. He had 61 yards, but Daniel Jones had 24 yards, and he's been running for like 70, 80, 90 a game, and like 7 to 8 per attempt. His longest run was 9 yards. I think that was on a 1st and 10, and he was just a non-factor throwing and running. And that's what makes him dangerous when he's dangerous is his running ability. He's really good at it, and I thought they tackled well. I thought they got numbers to the ball.
They're so good in pursuit,
and they hit him. And he didn't look real happy. I don't think he likes getting hit. I think he's a tough guy, but I think by the middle of the third quarter, he was like, I'm just going to hand off. He didn't want to throw. He didn't want Sweat and those guys after him. But to me, when the Giants can't run the ball, they have no way to move the ball. Their top wide receiver, James had 51 yards, but their longest completion to a wide receiver was 17 yards. They weren't even trying to throw it down the field.
Their best receivers, Darius Slayton, had 1 catch on 5 targets for 4 yards.
That's incredible. Yeah. I thought the Eagles corners, and we'll get to that. I thought they were incredible.
Yeah. I'll tell you my lasting thought on this game and why they were so dominant, it's trenches.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is it, there's no secret. As much as like we've spent all year talking about some of the receiver play and corners and all these other positions, this is no secret. I mean, the Eagles have talked about this for years. They build through the trenches, and this is the perfect example of why. They dominated on both lines of scrimmage, and that's when you can do that, you're gonna be in every game, and you're gonna have a chance to win a game like this.
Yeah, I was thinking about, Andy Reid hasn't coached here in 10 years, but his fingerprints are on this team. In that emphasis, he's the one who brought that emphasis on both lines, and how he learned from him. He learned that from him, and from Banner. I mean, they both believed in that, and he's adopted that. And they might have the best O-line, D-line combination in the league for a long time. There's just they led the league in sacks, and I think they have the best O-line in football. So, yeah, I thought the O-line had its best game of the year.
They were unbelievable.
They were unbelievable.
Lane Johnson, all the respect in the world for that dude.
I know.
I mean, and early in the game, I saw him grabbing at the groin, like at his midsection at the groin. Like he was hurting, and he stayed out there. I thought he performed really well.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then he was just as fast leaving the locker room before I could talk to him.
Oh, really? He didn't talk?
Yeah, I kind of get it. What he's putting his body through to get out there on the field. I think at this point he just wants to let his play talk for him, and that's fine. If he keeps doing what he did today, yeah, it's impressive stuff. And the benefit, they got him out of there early. You can get him out of there early, and that's the other thing. There was a point in this game where it's like the objective is no longer to win. The objective is to cruise to a victory and minimize injury, and they did that. We saw A.J. Brown look a little gimpy at the end. I think he's fine. He might have been cramped up a little bit. It didn't look like anything serious. There was a minute where Landon Dickerson went out of the game, but he was back in there not too long after. So that also makes you feel good. This team, not only did they win, but they stayed healthy in the process.
How about Josh Jobe coming in at the end and making that?
Crushed him.
Your boy.
Yeah.
I got a stat for you. Just came up with this one from StatHead.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Gainwell, 12 carries, 9.3 average. Miles Sanders, 17 carries, 5.3. Boston Scott, 6 carries, 5.3. Eagles are the first team in 34 years and only the fourth team in history with 3 players with 6 or more carries averaging over 5 yards a carry, and none of them were Jalen Hurts. And the other 3 were the 1940 Bears, the 1984 Steelers with former Eagle Walter Abercrombie and Franco Harris, late Franco Harris from RV, and the Bengals in 88 against the Seahawks with Icky Woods, James Brooks. I loved. I mean, look, they're all good backs, but I mean, those holes were just massive.
Massive.
I could have run through.
Kelsey
might have been the best game Jason Kelsey ever played. I mean,
so good.
He was, and I think he was just. I don't know. We ran some audio on him, and he didn't talk about his matchup with Dexter Lawrence. But I mean, Dexter Lawrence is an All-Pro.
Look, the Giants kind of stunk all year against the run, but they have some pretty good players on that line.
Yeah, and I thought Kelsey just neutralized Dexter Lawrence. Who had we have 8 pressures last week. I mean, he different animal, different team, but
the Eagles finished 6 yards shy of their all-time playoff rushing record.
I thought it was 7 yards. I thought it was 274 is it was the Cards game, right? In
49.
49, yeah.
The way you said that makes us that Cards game in 49.
Yeah. I mean, they could have broken it if they wanted to. That was my bold prediction on the pregame show was that they would rush for 205 or more yards. I originally was going to have 200. I thought that was too low, so I said 205. But yeah, that's all the O-line. I thought Samala was great. He was just crushing people.
They were all great. It was.
How many snaps did Dickerson? Did he only miss the one or two snaps there? Saw him leave the field.
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, he missed more than he needed to because they were running tempo. He had his helmet on. He was waiting to get back in, but they were running tempo at that point. So he didn't have an opportunity to get back in. He would have been back in sooner.
I was also the other thing that stuck out to me along those lines. It might have been the best game blocking wise for the skill guys, for Goddard, A.J. Brown, and Devontae.
A.J. Brown had a couple big blocks. He missed one early, but then he had the one on the Devontae touchdown.
Yeah.
Then he had another one later.
And Pascal had some big ones too.
Pascal, how about Pascal?
Yeah.
I haven't seen snap counts yet, but he started the game, played a ton.
Yeah, he did. Which is interesting. I think it's all part of, look, they know they're going to run a lot. What did they end up running? 44 times? I wonder if that's a record. I'm going to look that up. But I thought Pat, he's a physical guy. He's more physical than Quez. He's a better blocker than Quez, obviously. They're not even close. He's not the receiver, but I think they felt like we're going to be running the ball 50 times. We really want a speed receiver there or a guy who can block his butt off. And I thought that was really smart.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else, like, big picture really stood out to me. Jalen, the numbers won't blow you away. He threw for 154 yards, but that's all they needed him to do.
Yeah.
He opened the game 7 for 7 in the first quarter.
And it was over. Two touchdowns.
It was over. Interesting. He apparently told Pam Oliver, and she reported this right before the game, that he's nowhere near 100%. He looked fine to me. I mean, and there were even moments. I mean, they used him on design. There was actually one play in the second half where I'm like, all right, maybe stop running him. There's no reason to expose him to any injury, but thought he looked fine. The playbook was open. There was the one play where Xavier McKinney like kind of got his arm, and that was the only play of the game where I went, ooh.
Yeah,
but bounced right back up, no problem. I thought he played a great game.
Yeah, I thought he was just really efficient, really smart. He was impressive. He if he was hurting, you couldn't tell. And I think he's now the youngest quarterback ever to take the Eagles to an NFC Championship game. He's 9 months younger than Donovan was in 2001 when they played the Rams in St. Louis. You think about it, he's 15-1 this year. That's kind of amazing. Only 8 starting quarterbacks have ever gotten to a Super Bowl before their 25th birthday. So he's a win away from joining some pretty elite company. His performance was perfect for what the Eagles wanted to do today. And I love the fact that he ran 9 times, had 2 kneel downs? 2 or 3? 2, I think 2.
Yeah.
He didn't need to run. So just keep him safe, get him out of harm's way, and give the ball to the backs. He ran a couple times and was effective a couple times, but I thought it was a brilliant game plan, a brilliant approach. Somebody's going to hire Steichen. They're going to watch this game and be like, yeah, this
was a great Steichen game. Good bounce back game from Steichen.
Yes.
Because there were some questions.
Yeah.
I thought, like, and that was the one thing, like, I didn't think he had a great rhythm going in some of those games at the end of the year, but having healthy Jalen Hurts makes that go a lot smoother.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the running backs and stuff, but I thought Miles ran the ball great. He showed such great vision and patience, and just there was one stretch where he had like 4 straight runs. He had like a 12, a 9. Then you spring Gainwell on them, like they're finally getting like a beat on, his skill set, his speed, how he's running. Then you put Gainwell in there, he's just going right up the middle with pure speed and elusiveness. And I mean, how do you defend that? And they didn't, and they can't. And I love the fact that I think the Giants were 31st this year in yards per carry allowed. 5.3 was it?
I think 5.2.
5.2. Damn, I hate being wrong in that stuff. And Shane just kind of he smelled blood and he just went after it and they just pounded it.
Yeah. And Boston Scott got in the end zone. How much do you think sports books had to pay out just for Eagles fans?
Yeah,
putting that prop down or anytime touchdown.
It's incredible. I tweeted out the Boston Scott stat. I think he's like 6th most rushing touchdowns ever against the Giants, including the postseason. I'm not sure. I think it was 6th. But I mean, like the company he's in, it's like, Franco Howard, it's Leroy Kelly. Here it is. Emmitt Smith, 21, Leroy Kelly, 14, Jim Brown, 12, Hall of Famers, Larry Brown, and then Zeke, Ricky Waters, and Boston are tied with 10. He's got the 5th most touchdowns ever against the Giants. It's insane. Somebody tweeted out Boston Scott has scored 172 touchdowns against the Giants. Just seems that way.
Not that far off.
It's the phrase they use in baseball is owning a team. You own a pitcher, you own a team. Mm-hmm. He owns the Giants.
He does.
Yeah.
Wink Martindale said he's not a Giant killer.
Call it what you want. He's a Wink Martindale killer. I just love the way Shane deployed the backs. I thought it was brilliant. It's the Nissan Thrill of the Drive event, so gift yourself what you really want this holiday season and shop your local Nissan store or visit nissanusa.com today. Just like the holidays, these offers won't last.
Opioid addiction is a national public health crisis. The Someone You Know podcast from the Independence Blue Cross Foundation offers inspiring stories that challenge stigma, offer hope and humanize disease of addiction. Download the new Season 3 of Someone You Know on all major podcast platforms. All right, Rube, we'll go offense and defense, and we will talk special teams after that, but any nuggets offensive-wise that we haven't talked about yet you want to get to?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just touched on Gainwell, but, I mean, his first 100-yard game to come in a playoff game, just 12 carries for 112 yards. That's the fourth most rushing yards ever by a running back on 12 or fewer carries in the postseason. He was just gashing them. And that touchdown was against a team that given up. He's just given up. I mean, he was just he's the
play is probably to go down, but I was like, no, Kenny, get in the end zone.
Yeah. He's got a nose for the end zone. Three different guys had rushing touchdowns, but it was hard. It's hard not to think about, Miles' contract is up. I don't know if he'll be here or not. Can Kenny Gainwell be RB1? Today he looked like it. He had a nice catch, and when he's not dropping the ball, which he hasn't really done this year, I mean, he looked like a stud out there. And maybe he's best as a 2 behind Miles. You use Miles to soften up the defense, and then you bring Kenny into, to finish him. But he's a really good player. I've raved about him all year. I'm just a big fan of his. And it's funny if you think about the group of Eagles running backs in history that have 100-yard games in the postseason: Steve Van Buren, Brian Westbrook, Kenny Gainwell, Heath Sherman.
What's really funny?
and Wilbert, obviously.
Yeah, I started when Miles got to 90 yards. I was like, oh, let me find that stat. I typed it out as Miles doing it.
Yeah.
And then when Kenny did, I just erased Miles and put Kenny in there and set out the tweet.
Yeah. It's a shame Miles couldn't get 100. I'm sure he would have liked it, but he had a great game. He played really well.
He was great, man. You hit his vision earlier. That was what impressed me so much. He was finding holes that weren't really there. Like, obviously there were holes there a lot because the offensive line was dominating, but in moments where they didn't open it up, he was making it happen.
Patience. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, it's something that we've really seen that growth from him in his career. Rookie Miles Sanders doesn't do tonight what he did.
Absolutely right. He's a completely different runner. He's not dancing around at all anymore. Well, he did once, like a few weeks ago. It was a -3.
Every once in a while. I didn't think there was one today.
The
but sometimes it's like, if I felt like there's always like one Miles play game. Where you go, come on, get up the field.
He only had 4 carries in the second half. He told me on Thursday his knee is not an issue anymore, but 4 carries in the second half, they're protecting.
Might as well keep him fresh.
Absolutely. And
that's you earn that right by building that lead.
Yeah, exactly right.
I want to hit on Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about him yet. It's just a great performance. 5 catches on 5 targets, 58 yards and a touchdown. Played so physical in this game. That stiff arm.
It's beautiful.
I mean, at what point does a stiff arm become a personal foul because you punched the guy? I mean,
I was thinking that.
He walloped him. Man, so tough. And he's tough to bring down. It felt like those plays from him really fired up the entire team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the final numbers were like, okay, 5 for 58, that's fine. But I thought he had a huge impact on this game just by being so physical early, trampling people, almost scored another touchdown. Just his blocking was just, incredible. He's such a good player. And I mean, they didn't throw the ball that much. I mean, Jalen only completed 16 passes. But he had 5 for 58 and he was a force. I felt like the Eagles were really, really physical tonight. And
I agree.
Really on both sides of the ball, but really on offense. I mean, there was just, whether it was Devontae's a skinny guy, but I mean, you see him blocking, you see AJ blocking, Goddard up front. They were just the more physical team by far. They really took it to the Giants.
They used some 13 personnel in this game, got the big boys out there.
Yeah.
They did some fun stuff. They ran a tackle over play where they had Jordan Mailata, like the second left tackle, they had Lane inside of him. They have some fun stuff in this offense.
Yeah, and we've only seen a little smattering of it.
If I were to tell you the Eagles score 38 points and A.J. Brown has 3 for 22?
Yeah, and that's what this offense can do. And Jalen Hurts has 34 rushing yards.
Yeah.
With a long of 9. There's so many weapons. And next week it could be AJ has 122 and Devontae has 22 yards or whatever. Boston Scott might be their leading rusher. They're just so multiple. They have so many good players that can make plays and hurt you. And I think Shane is really, really and look, some of it is just who's open and who the ball finds. But I think Shane really likes it that way. I think he really likes the defense just not have any idea what's about to hit them.
Yeah. One of my favorite plays in this game is kind of an understated one. It was in the second half. Devontae had a one-on-one on the outside, and Jalen looks like he's about to launch it. Instead, Dallas Goedert's wide open on the left sideline, hits him for like a 15 to 20-yard gain, moves the sticks. Because in my head, I'm thinking he has a one-on-one with Devontae. This is his shot moment. He normally takes these. I've gotten so accustomed to them taking them, but in this game, it didn't make sense. It was like move the sticks, keep it going, just stay on the field, and it was just, to me, it just showed great situational awareness from Jalen, because he like reared back like he was going to launch it, and in the first half, I think he does, but it was like, all right, no, we have a pretty big lead here. Let's just get the first down, stay on the field, and take care of business. It was a really impressive play.
Yeah. Jalen really struck me as a guy who played really within himself tonight. He was, this is his first playoff win. I mean, this is a big deal, but he was so under control and calm, and he just ran the offense. There was no like, he wasn't trying to be great. He wasn't trying to, he wasn't trying to do anything except make the play and win the game. And I think that's not always the case with young quarterbacks in this situation. I got to carry the team on my shoulders. I've got to be great tonight. No, just got to win the game.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks like that.
No, I don't either.
That's a good point.
I think some quarterbacks do. I think if he doesn't have any passing yards and they win 8-0, he'd be thrilled.
Yeah, he really would. He wouldn't care.
I just don't think he cares.
Yeah, he just wants to win.
I care more about his passer rating than he does, which was the fourth highest in Eagles postseason history.
112.2.
Behind only, how about this group? Nick Foles, Rodney Peete, and Tommy Thompson. Higher than any passer rating Donovan ever had in the postseason.
Donovan had a lot of postseason games.
Really good postseason games. He had a bunch in 11, like 111, 110. But yeah, it was just a efficient, smart, restrained game from Jalen.
Yeah. Want to flip to defense?
Yeah.
Dominant. Just a dominant performance. And Haason Reddick in his first playoff game, a sack and a half, 3 quarterback hits, a tackle for loss, 5 combined tackles. And he's been a stud all year.
He's now got 17 and a half sacks. One more, and he gets past Babin finally, and then he's in that elite company of Reggie, Clyde, and Hassan. Yeah, he really set the tone defensively. He was all over the place, man. He was having so much fun out there. What a signing.
It was everyone on the D-line too, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love the sweat sack. That was just I think he beat Andrew Thomas on that one.
Yeah. You know what's been fun, and I mentioned it earlier, but their pursuit. There were plays where like they're just coming back, like, because obviously the corners are covering downfield. So I don't want to lose sight of that. They're covering and extending these plays, and it's like the defensive line gets another shot at him. Like they're coming back.
Right.
They're hitting him in the back because the corners are covering so long, and they have pursuit to the ball. And Reddick is so fast. Like we saw a few of those. Like Daniel Jones can normally turn the corner a little bit, but Reddick's got that straight line speed to beat him. Impressive. And
I think it helps that they have such a rotation, and that helps them stay fresh late in the game, and they can run like that. A lot of guys are going to be gassed if you have to play 80% of the snaps. You're not making those plays. Because you just don't have the legs at that point in the game. But by rotating so many defensive linemen, these guys are fresh at the end of the game, and it shows.
It's 2023. Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham each had a sack in this game.
Incredible. It's incredible. And I was thinking about, we talk about Andy Reid and hasn't been here in 10 years. I mean, Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, and Brandon Graham are guys he drafted. And they're like, think about the contributions they made to this team. And, so Andy's in the AFC Championship game, and those guys are in the NFC Championship game 10 years after they last were in the same building. And it's kind of like Andy's legacy keeps growing even after he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think his emphasis on the trenches might be like the single biggest reason this team has had sustained success over 20 years,
mm-hmm.
really since 2000. And I mean, Fletcher, any game could be the last game as an Eagle for Fletcher, BG, and Kelsey. So to see them playing at this level, I thought Fletcher had a good game.
I did
tonight. But yeah, BG had that sack at the end, and Kelsey, this might have been the best game Kelsey ever played. And I don't even know how it's possible. If his Pro Football Focus grade isn't 100, there should be a lawsuit. Especially considering who he was up against. Pro Football Focus's #1 interior lineman this year, in Dexter Lawrence, and he just leveraged his butt out of the play every time. It was a thing of beauty. We're talking defense, though. I do want to mention Bradbury's pick because the Eagles, that's been a problem. They haven't gotten takeaways, and I felt like, I think I said on pregame, if they're +1, there's no way they can lose this game. There's no way.
Yeah.
I thought the only way they lose if they're like -2 or worse. And they didn't turn the ball over, and they got one takeaway against a team that does not turn.
And they got a
over.
turnover on downs.
Yeah.
They have a short field.
Doesn't count as a turnover. But I don't know what was he doing at that point. But anyway, he did not coach a good game.
Doesn't count as a turnover, but it gives the same result.
Sure. But I thought Bradbury's pick was big. Just because they turned the ball over 16 times all year. Just 5 times in their last 8 games.
Great pressure from CJ on that.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be Jones' answer. That quick pass. And Bradbury jumped it
against the team that cut him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you talk to him at all?
Bradbury?
Yeah.
No, I was in the locker room, and he was a podium guy today. So it was actually funny. I was standing next to him. And someone walked up and asked to talk to me and said, actually, I'm going. I was like, you're a podium guy today. Made it to the podium. But that's good for him.
Yeah.
And look, as much as I don't think it bothers him as much anymore, it's still in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
So I think it probably felt pretty good. And I saw the Eagles after the game, their Twitter feed found the release when the Giants released him and just said, thank you. That's funny.
They do a great job. Their social media people are really good, really obnoxious, and it's great.
That's what you want. I wanted to say, Reed Blankenship. It looked like they targeted him early.
Yeah.
I thought he responded to that really well. I thought he played well after that.
I did too.
Because early on, it looked like they were going after him.
Yeah. Yeah. And he settled down. I mean, it's really incredible. This is a guy, what did he start? 5 games? Maybe 4 games.
4 games. He played in 10. He started 4.
Right. An undrafted rookie who wasn't even a priority undrafted rookie. I think the only undrafted rookie that got less guaranteed money was Ali Fayyad, the linebacker.
Yeah.
Fayyad. The linebacker.
Who was the MAC Defensive Player of the Year.
For what college?
Oh, I should know this.
I just looked it up and I don't remember. But
Western Michigan.
So you think about, and we looked this up, he's really the only undrafted rookie to start and make a contribution in Eagles playoff history. Reno Mahe started a game. They came out it was the Carolina game, I think.
Yeah, they came out in 21 personnel.
Yeah, and he didn't have a carry, didn't have a catch. We don't have snap counts from back then. He probably played 2 snaps on offense. He didn't play on offense that year. But technically, he did start the game. But Reed Blankenship.
It really made both of us very mad when we realized that this week.
It really did. I thought he played really well after
in.
Quick start, after the slow start.
Thought CJ gave them something? Had a big pass breakup?
I mean, this is a guy who wasn't drafted, and he just put that game together in a playoff game as an undrafted rookie. It's mind-blowing.
His confidence.
Yeah. He's really smart. I mean,
he's acted like he belonged from the moment he stepped on the field in training camp.
Yeah, you're right. Right.
That's half the battle sometimes.
They're lucky they have him.
Yeah, they really are. Oh, a little nugget here.
I like nuggets.
Saw Avonte Maddox walking on the field pregame. No boot.
Maybe that was him in the bubble Thursday.
No.
I thought Slay had one of his better games. I like the way Kaiser White, he seemed to do a nice job covering Saquon on a number of snaps. TJ was physical and active. Really, for me, it was the corners and the edge rushers.
Mhm.
I thought they were all exceptional tonight, and obviously, what they do goes hand in hand. But it was impressive stuff. I got the feeling Daniel Jones just didn't even want to be out there after a while.
Yeah, he was trying to find Eli in the box to bring him down.
I saw Eli before the game.
Did you?
Yeah, his son had a Jalen Hurts jersey on.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a rough look for the
I know.
for the Giants.
Yeah. At least it wasn't a Drew McDougal shirt.
Special teams?
Yeah.
I wanted the Brett Kern. Where's this been?
Yeah.
Playoff Brett Kern.
How
Three
many
punts, 129 yards, average of 43, 3 inside the 20.
And they were all well inside the 20.
Yeah.
That's why I love that fake when they're trying to get the Giants to jump.
Mm-hmm.
And Reed Blankenship's line it up.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't work, you still get great field position,
Mhm.
or give the Giants bad field position. So that was brilliant, because you're in a part of the field where the punter probably wants those extra 5 yards. So
Yeah.
you happily take the penalty,
Yeah.
but you could get a first
That
down.
was fine. I probably would have gone for it, but I get it.
It wasn't it fourth and it was fourth and long, I thought.
No, it was 4th and 2.
I thought it was 4th and 4. But in any case, what do you think of Dable going for it in 4th and 8 early? I think it was very smart.
This was a game to me where you had to try to steal possessions and points if you're the Giants.
I thought it was too early.
You're
for that.
not a good team. You're playing a team that's outclassing you. That's why it made
It was only 7-0 at that point, though.
Yeah, but it's kind of like when a team plays the Chiefs and you're like, we got to score because.
Yeah, but what percentage is 4th and 8?
I don't care. You got to try to move it.
Yeah, I didn't like it. You talk about special teams. Kayvon Wallace, I thought was, I don't know how many tackles he had. He had 3 tackles on special teams.
He's become a pretty good special teamer.
Yeah. Yeah, he has. Who else on defense? We kind of covered everybody, but man,
We're on special teams now.
It was, no, I'm just kind of making sure we didn't forget anyone.
Jake Elliott made
12 for 12 in the postseason, 3rd most career attempts without a miss in NFL history.
Okay.
12 for 12.
Made all his extra points, which could be a big deal next week.
Especially if they play the Cowboys. Yeah, they'll have that real edge in PATs.
Britton Covey had 4 fair catches.
Yeah, he double caught one of them.
Right.
But he's pretty secure back there.
Yeah.
He didn't have any returns.
People still this is one of those things where it's like if a guy starts off playing poorly, it takes people a while to realize he's not bad anymore.
Right.
He's been pretty good.
He has.
I mean, he ended up he's not, one of the best returners in the league.
He ended up 9th in the league.
Yeah, I mean,
but over the last 9-10 weeks, he was like 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he started off pretty poorly, so he had
he didn't have any long. He didn't have any 30, 40, but he was starting to get 13, 14, 15s pretty routinely. I think he's going to be okay there. I mean, just looking ahead, he's going to be a good slot receiver one day. Can I say one other thing before we wrap or before we move on?
No.
I just think Howie Roseman deserves. You think about Howie Roseman built a Super Bowl team, and 5 years later, with almost a completely different roster, and there's some guys. Obviously, we know who they are. I think 5 position players: Kelsey, Fletch, BG, Sayamalo, and Derek Barnett's on IR. But I mean, it's essentially he built a different team that's in the NFC Championship game, and has 15 wins 5 years after building a Super Bowl team. And in both cases, they were really bad, 2 years before, and fired a coach. There's a lot of parallels there.
Yeah, I mean, he also helped them get.
There's absolutely, absolutely. But you don't. He's 2 more wins, and he's a Hall of Fame GM.
I'm with you.
2 more wins, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Probably executive of the year.
Yeah, and you look at the additions, and you look at the guys that we're talking about. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, AJ Brown. We didn't have a big game tonight, but the impact he's made on this team. Haason Reddick, Bradbury. These are all guys he brought in this offseason. And every move he made, I'm pretty sure every move, well, maybe not like, who's that safety?
Jaquiski Tart.
Jaquiski Tart. That one didn't work out. But every other move worked out other than Jaquiski Tart. And I can't believe you remember that name that
I think
fast.
it's actually pronounced Jaquiski, so I apologize.
All I said was that safety they brought in, and you immediately did Jaquiski Tart. So yeah, I think we should mention just how much, what a great year he's had. Had a hell of a year.
Yeah, he really has.
And also I think there's we talk about the big moves, how he moves, but like Kenny Gainwell was a 5th round pick. Boston Scott was a waiver claim. Reed Blankenship was undrafted. I mean, you go right down. There's just so many guys like that who are contributing to this team that were not big time prospects coming out. I mean, Covey was undrafted. It's a punt return. He had fair catches today. That's it. But this team has a lot of superstars, but they also have a lot of guys that he just kind of found. I mean, Marcus Epps, who played pretty well tonight, I thought, got him on a waiver claim from the Vikings when they cut him. So it's not just about the big blockbuster moves, but those bottom of the roster moves that can become top of the roster moves. He's done them all.
Yeah. Negativity corner.
Oh yeah.
We'll get to negativity corner. What do you got?
Yeah. Negativity corner. I got, oh no. Oh, what about no? No, I got nothing.
It's good acting out of you.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I know. It's fitting that was in the negativity corner. That's the only thing I have for the negativity corner was the acting.
My acting sucked.
Yeah. Real quick, wanted to get to the 49ers Cowboys game. 49ers -4 on PointsBet right now. What do you like there? Do you think the 49ers win that?
I do.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance the Cowboys win that game. I have a feel like Brock Purdy at some point has to come back down to earth.
It's going to be across the street next Sunday.
Okay.
I mean, imagine if the Eagles can get to the Super Bowl by beating Daniel Jones and Brock Purdy. Like, if you told me in August, the Eagles will have number 1 seed, but they're going to have to beat Daniel Jones and Brock Purdy.
But they might have Chad Henne waiting for him in Arizona.
I can't believe Mahomes went back in that game.
Yeah.
We were watching that early when he got hurt. I thought he was done.
I did too.
Thought he was done for the year. But I think the Niners are going to be too much. I do think Dallas. I mean, look, Dallas has a lot of talent. I think the Niners have a huge edge in coaching. Huge edge in coaching. I think they're at home. I think it'll be a fun game. I think the Eagles are in a great spot because they took care of business. They can just sit back and let those two teams beat each other up. Find out who they're playing. They're going to have a day off.
Extra day of rest?
Yeah, extra day of rest. And one of those teams is going to have to come here. A long trip. I think Eagles are sitting in a great spot.
They are. It's time to get your swagger back with PointsBet Sportsbook. PointsBet, your move. Rube, last thing from me. That place was rocking.
Yeah, it was
tonight.
Wild.
I mean, give Eagles fans were here all day. We know they found the loophole with the Wings game to get into the parking lot early. I showed up around like 3:30, 4 o'clock. It was packed. You got here even earlier.
Here's what the head house. I don't know if this might be too much glare from the ring lights, but this is the head house 2 hours before the game. You can't really see, but just mobbed. I got here really early and watched some of the Wings game.
Mm-hmm.
I saw. I can't name one guy in the Wings, but I saw an awful lot of Foles, Westbrook, and Hurts jerseys in there. It was a pretty good game. I mean, they got killed, but I think it was 14-3 when I left. But pretty fast-paced, fun game. I would definitely go back. But I think a lot of people were here all day. Yeah, and
good crowd. It was so loud.
They had $5 beer at the Wings game.
Oh yeah,
and I think
how many did you have?
I don't drink beer before games. Just Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand and the tailgate guys over there. No, yeah, I think people kind of made a day out of it.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. It was fun atmosphere.
It was cool.
I saw Torrey Smith tweet like it's different in the stands.
Yeah,
he got a taste of that. It was good to see those guys.
It's a tough place to play because it's like
it's real.
Yeah,
it feels hokey to talk about home field advantage at times because like every place gets loud. No, it was different. And once the Eagles got a lead, So it's tough to play there.
Yeah. And Jalen never loses here. Lost the Washington game, but I mean, a bunch of turnovers, but he's played great. He can break down his numbers at home, and they're incredible. Somebody's going to have to beat him here, or they're going to Arizona.
Yeah. It's been fun so far.
What a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I covered this team from 87 to 16, which is like 30 years, and won Super Bowl, and they lost it. It was in Jacksonville, and it was just kind of, yeah. And chance of 2 in 6 years is pretty amazing.
Not bad. All right. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. We appreciate everyone who's going to listen to this in the middle of the night.
Or in the morning.
We appreciate everyone. For Rube, I'm Dave. We'll talk to you soon.